Well, hello everyone. I'm Dr. Tushar Mehta, orthopedic surgeon, and your faculty of orthopedics. Well, I welcome you all to this very interesting video of anatomy. Before I go further, I just want to tell you that as far as your theory exam is concerned, whether it's MS or it is DNB, uh, having the knowledge of this basic anatomy is very important because not only it can be asked directly into the theory, but also it is a very important practical. It can be a very important practical question. We will be now talking about extensor apparatus. It has been one of the previously asked questions in your orthopedics PG theory exams. We'll talk about extensor apparatus. Well, in extensor apparatus, the first thing that I want all of you to know is that you are not going to answer this question as extensor compartments. There's a common mistake. Like if I ask you a question about extensor apparatus, then you might be starting writing down, the extensor compartments, the six extensor compartment, the tendon inside them. No, it's not that. Hair extensor apparatus is something which can come to you in your exam by the name of extensor, expansion extensor, assembly extensor, apparatus extensor, aponeurosis, dorsal aponeurosis, dorsal distal expansion, one of the frequently asked short note DDE. Write a short note on dorsal distal expansion with a well-labeled diagram of the extensor tendon, or you can call it a dorsal aponeurosis, as I said, or dorsal sleeve, aponeurotic sleeve. So basically कुछ नहीं है ये एक ही चीज के सारे नाम so आप इसे कोई भी नाम दे सकते हो but normally what people use is extensor apparatus and extensor aponeurosis or dorsal distal expansion. Now the next thing that you should know, in fact the next basic thing that you should know is that this extensor apparatus, I repeat my words again, it is not going to include those six extensor compartments and the tendons. This includes basically the fourth compartment, which is very important for you to understand, which is extensor digitorum communis, extensor indicis proprius, EDC, EIP, and the fifth extensor compartment, if you remember, which is extensor digita minima. Sixth one is ECU. We'll talk about that later. I mean, there's another video for those compartments. तो हमने ये सीखा है कि ये जो एक्सटेंसर apparatus है या dorsal distal expansion है, extensor aponeurosis है, कुछ भी इसमें तीन चीजें हैं. There are three things: EDC, okay, EIP, okay, and EDM. So EDC, EIP, EDM. Now moving, ahead. How do you define? Like if suppose you get a short question on extensor apparatus or whatever it is. So the first thing is that you have written, okay, fine, it contains EDC, it contains EIP, it contains EDM, but how do you define it? So please try to understand that on every digit, on the proximal fillings, on the dorsal part, you see a translucent fibrous expansion. Every digit, proximal fillings, dorsal part. You see a translucent fibrous expansion, and that is what is called as the dorsal distal aponeurosis. It is an aponeurotic extension of the extensor digitorum tendons, ETC, EIP, EDM. So उसी का आगे ये aponeurotic extension. It is a typical triangle shaped structure. It is a typical triangle shaped structure. If you don't believe me, then please, I would advise you to look at this. It is a typical triangular shaped structure. Jisme, what is important is that this is the base. All right. So this is the base. So if you see the base, it is proximal, and this is that base which is basically wrapping around which joint? Metacarpophalangeal joint. Don't worry, with due passage of time, you will understand. As of now, I just want you to understand one very basic thing, that when we talk about extensor apparatus, okay, it is dorsal distal expansion, extensor aponeurosis, whatever name you want to give it. So it basically includes EDC, it includes EIP, plus includes EDM. ठीक. Now they have a dorsal digital aponeurotic extension, that is what is called as extensor apparatus. Now let's move further. Now you have to just understand one very basic thing. Okay, I'll show it to you here. So suppose if this is the wrist, all right. Now this is what is called as extensor retinaculum. Now these tendon of EDC, EIP and EDM, they are going to enter into the hand from the forearm by passing beneath the extensor retinaculum. So far so good. Now what passes in the center is this tendon called as EDC. Now this EDC goes and gets inserted onto the base of the proximal phalanx, and then it has inserted onto the base of the proximal phalanx, and then it will give rise to further something which will be called as the central slip or the central tendon. Don't worry, we'll talk about that in coming slide, but that central slip or central tendon is basically covered by, this whole thing is basically covered by a hood. That hood is what is called as extensor hood. Are we able to understand this? Now this EIP which is coming, it will come and get inserted into that hood. So far so good. Now you might be having EDC of different fingers, like there is one EDC of this finger, another EDC of this finger, another EDC of this finger. They all are going and getting inserted onto the base of the proximal phalanx, and after that they will make extensor hood. Hood is kind of a hoodie which is covering the whole thing, and EIP is going and getting inserted into that hood. Now this finger's EDC can get connected to this finger's EDC, can connect it to the other finger EDC with the help of something which is called as juncture tendini. I just put a small tick on that. So they are connected with each other with the help of juncture tendini. I can show you the photograph of juncture tendini. So you can see the extensor digitorum, you can see the extensor digitorum of both the sides, and they are connected with the help of, these are basically the juncture tendini. There are different types, some there that can be horizontal, that can be oblique, multiple, variations are there, but that's like going too much into it. Now we come to the actual part. So till now, what have we understood? I'll just, compile it for you so that people who are watching the video, they understand मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ. So extensor apparatus is the question. Okay, you can call it a dorsal distal expansion, you can call it external eponeurotic sleeve, call it whatever. Now it contains EDC, as we already said, EIP, as we already said, EDM. Done. So far so good. Now as I told you that EDC will come and will get inserted onto the base of the proximal phalanx. After that it will make a hood. EIP will get into that hood. Now EDC, after coming and getting inserted onto the base of the proximal phalanx, will further give rise to something which is called as the central slip or the central tendon. So the central slip or the central tendon which I mentioned here is that central thing. Now mind it will go and get inserted onto the base of the middle phalanx. See, EDC ने इसने तो जो है MP joint को cross किया, and it went and got inserted onto the base of the proximal phalanx. So technically its job is to extend the MP joint. But now it further gives a further slip, a further continuation called as a central slip, which has to go and get inserted onto the base of the middle phalanx, which technically is going to, the central tendon or central slip is going to lead to extension of the PIP. Are we able to understand this? Now this central slip will have, of course, two lateral slips as well. Okay, of course it will have to, everything will come in due course of time. It's just I'm giving an orientation, by just drawing it for you, so that before I show you the slide, you have understand what I'm saying. So यहाँ पे what you're looking at right now is the lateral slip. What you're looking at right now is the lateral slip. Now these two lateral slips, they go further and they get inserted onto base of what? Distal phalanx. They go and get inserted onto base of what? Distal phalanx. And over there, they make something which is what is called as the terminal band. Okay, so over there they go and make a terminal band, which I think clarity I don't worry, you will have more clarity when I will move further with you. You will have more clarity. So I'll just revise my things, whatever I have discussed it with you. So I will just revise these things. So you have an EDC tendon, agreed, we have spoken about it. It attaches with a slip onto the base of the proximal phalanx. Yes, we have spoken about it. Through which it extends the metacarpophalangeal joint. We have already understood about it. Then I told you after that it will give you what? बोलो क्या देगा उसके बाद ये central slip देगा. After that it will give you central slip or central tendon, whatever you want to call it. I have a habit of calling it a slip. Now this will again proceed dorsally. Everything is dorsal. That's why it's an extensor mechanism, and it will go and get attached onto the base of what? Middle phalanx. Okay, so it is actually going to go and get attached onto what? Base of the middle phalanx, where after getting attached onto the base of the middle phalanx, I've already told you, it is going to extend what? It is crossing what? PIP. So it will extend the PIP joint. ऐसे याद करना. Okay, so far so good. So this one is basically your EDC, which I'm sure you all can see. You can see extensor digitorum. So ये extensor digitorum ये insert हो गया. ठीक? ठीक, it has crossed MP joint. Its job is to extend MP. ये insert हो गया. Now this is what it is giving rise to is what is called as your central slip. This is going to get inserted onto the base of the middle phalanx. Its job is to extend the PIP. So far so good. So far, so good. Are we able to understand this? All right. So now what I was telling you was that EDC, okay, EDC has basically gone and got inserted onto the base of the, gone and get inserted onto the base of the proximal phalanx. After that, so this is your EDC. After that, it will give you a central slip, which will go and get inserted onto the base of what? The middle phalanx. So that is what we have understood here, that you have a central tendon or you have a central slip which has gone to the base of the middle phalanx, and basically over there it can go and it can extend the PIP joint. Is that clear to all of you? Done everyone? Yes or no? Now I will just take you to the next slide now. Now when I talk about the next slide, this is nothing but basically the central band. ठीक है, यहाँ और कुछ नहीं है. यहाँ पर what I'm showing you is basically the central band. So this is the EDC tendon, which I'm sure you all can see, and it is going here in front of you. If you can see my dot, it is going over there, and then there is then there is a extensor hood, and it is something which you can see goes and gets inserted onto what? Base of the proximal phalanx. Now from there it gives a central slip which goes, you can see it goes with a central slip, and it is going onto the base of the middle phalanx. Okay. Since you're looking at the finger from the lateral view, so you can see that not only it gives a central slip, not only this EDC gives a central slip, but it also gives the lateral band on the right side. Of course, it is going to give you the lateral band on the right side, plus it will give you a lateral band on the opposite side also, but these are going to get inserted onto the base of the distal phalanx. Now I can show you the same thing in this view, like from the top view. So you can see EDC, 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 EDC. It is making an extensor hood. Of course, you have seen it is going and getting inserted onto the base of the proximal phalanx. After that, it will give a central slip. So you can see that this is the central slip, which is going and getting inserted onto the base of the middle phalanx. And then what you can see is that not only that central slip, it will give you the lateral slip, and this is the lateral slip. This is the lateral slip, which goes and gets inserted onto the base of the, distal phalanx. So I hope you have a fair idea of what I was talking about. So this is something which I have already taught you. I'll just reiterate so that if at all you have to revise it later on in the theory, you should know that lateral band, they proceed on the sides, on either side, like they proceed on either side of the dorsal midline. So there's a dorsal midline. One will proceed from the right side, one will proceed from the left side. I've already shown you. And then they rejoin before attaching to the base of the distal phalanx. And as I said, their job is to extend the DIP. There is no confusion. And then I have already shown you the extensor hood, which is exactly on the MP joint. And if you see, it will be dorsal, it will be medial, it will be lateral. But you have to understand why extensor hood is important, because it receives, fibers from lumbrical and interossea. See, we are going to talk something really very important here. बहुत important बात हो रहा है यहाँ पे. So hood is surrounding the MP joint, dorsal, medial, lateral, and it is going to receive the fiber from lumbrical and interossea. Some of you might be wondering, listening to this and watching this video, कि ये lumbrical interossea, where do they come from? They are very important, but we'll talk about that after we talk about the, the lateral band and the terminal band. So of course, I've already shown it to you, but if you want to see it again, then, you can see the EDC tendon here. And EDC tendon is giving rise to a central tendon. Then you have the lateral tendon, and together they form the terminal slip. Same thing you can see here. So this is your EDC, this is your extensor expansion or hood, which receives interossea, which receives lumbrical, which receives EIP. It gets inserted onto the base of the middle phalanx, proximal phalanx, and then it gives a central slip, which goes and gets inserted onto the base of the middle phalanx. And then we have the lateral band. You can see that they are going to make a terminal band, and which is going to get inserted onto base of the distal phalanx. Now this lateral band is connected here with a ligament. What is that ligament called? Triangular ligament. So guys, all in all, chapter is clear, story is simple. That extensor apparatus includes EDC, EIP, EDM, EDC. After crossing, extensor retinaculum from the forearm, it enters into the hand. Then it goes on to the MP joint. It makes a dorsal hood. It makes an extensor hood. In that hood, you have EIP. In that hood, you have interossea. In the hood, you have lumbrical. After that, it gets inserted. After that, central slip goes and gets inserted onto the base of the MP. You have a lateral band. You have a lateral band. They together make a terminal band which goes and gets inserted onto the base of the DIP. And then you have something over here which is called as triangular ligament. So this is the summary of extensor. This is a summary of the structure of the extensor apparatus. But now, how does this extensor apparatus works? We need to understand this. Again, we have already shown it to you. Just reiterating the facts again. EDC. I'm sure EDC is clear to you. It is coming here. I'm sure you all can see, the triangular ligament. You can see the lateral band. You can see the central slip. You can see insertion into the middle phalanx. You can see insertion into the distal phalanx. You can see. So you can see all of it. Now, okay, so you can see this extensor hood also. So ye cheez clear hai. So if at all you are asked in your theory exam that draw a well-labeled diagram of the extensor apparatus along with, details of it, then this is the most ideal diagram. Now, I come to the actual business. The actual business is the physiology, the work. Anatomy, okay. Anatomy, if you ask me personally, there's nothing in anatomy. Just EDC, EIP, EDM, EDC inserts, then central slip, then it inserts, and then lateral band. They go together, they insert, and they have a triangular ligament, and they receive interossea lumbrical extensor hood. That's all. That's all. Extensor apparatus mein aur kuch nahi. Now, how does that work? How does that physiology works? We have to understand. Now, I think you need to understand these three very important muscles, which are, of course, a part of the intrinsic muscles of the hand. One is lumbrical, one is permanent interossea, one is dorsal interossea. We'll talk about them one by one. But why are we talking about them? Extensor tendons. They have tendon fibers. And tendon fibers as such cannot produce active movement. They can assist, but they cannot do active movement. Tendon के पास इतना ताकत ही नहीं है कि वो active movement कर सके. So tendon has got certain attachments, and those attachments give movements, and these are those attachments. These are those attachments. Let's talk about the first attachment. Let's talk about the lumbrical. I'm 100% sure that you all are 100% sure that we have 20 intrinsic muscles of the hand, out of which we have 4 lumbricals. Now, guys, lumbricals, very interesting fact I'm going to share with all of you. Lumbricals take origin from the tendon of the flexor digitorum profundus. Ji haan. It is taking an origin from a flexor tendon, and that too a tendon of flexor digitorum profundus. So you have 4 lumbricals. You have lumbrical, 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 lumbrical. In fact, they're into 4 groups, first and second, third and fourth, but let's not talk about that. So you have 4 lumbricals which are coming from flexor digitorum profundus. I'm sure you all can see that. Now listen, these lumbricals, please be very careful. These lumbricals, whether it is first, second, third, fourth, they are going to have an origin on the extensor apparatus. They are going to have a distal insertion on the extensor mechanism from the radial side at the level of lateral band. So the moment you see a lateral band going there, they will be getting inserted onto the lateral band from the radial side, from the radial side, from the lateral side, from the radial side. So they are actually taking an origin from the flexor tendon, digitorum profundus, and they are getting insertion onto the extensor tendon, that to the lateral band, that to the radial side, lateral side basically. Okay, so don't you think it is a very fantastic conduit between the flexor and the extensor? जोड़ रहा है यार ये दोनों को. And that is why I want you to understand that the function of lumbrical is basically flexion at metacarpophalangeal joint, and function of lumbrical is basically extension at proximal and distal interphalangeal joint. So it leads to flexion here, but it leads to extension here. Why? Because it's a conduit, because it introduces tension into the extensor mechanism by getting inserted onto the lateral aspect of the lateral band. So therefore it activates the extensor mechanism, And I said extensor tendons, they themselves are not capable of doing any active movement. It is done with the help of these lumbricals. That is why they are taken into extension, but lumbricals lead to flexion of what? MP joint. The second set of muscle after lumbrical is, okay, again the same thing which I have just told you. Again, it is showing you the same thing, that lumbricals permit a dynamic interaction, conduit between the flexor and extensor, and therefore, they transmit force. They swing both ways. So you can understand it like that. Now let's talk about the four palmar introsia. We have four lumbrical, now we have four palmar introsia. Now when we talk about four palmar introsia, see, as far as four lumbricals were concerned, they were taking origin from FDP and getting inserted into the extensor mechanism into the lateral band from the lateral side. ठीक है, यहाँ क्या है कि the four palmar introsia that we have, they will take origin from the metacarpals. Proximally, they will take origin from the metacarpal. They will be taking origin from the metacarpal. ठीक है. Of course, they will get inserted into the extensor mechanism. There is no confusion about it. उसमें there is no confusion. They will take origin from the metacarpal. They will take origin from the metacarpal and they will get inserted onto the extensor mechanism, into the extensor apparatus on the proximal phalanx. There is no confusion about it. What do they do? What do they do? We all know that pad. So palmar introsia basically leads to adduction of the fingers. They lead to adduction of the MP joint. So they lead to adduction of the fingers. They lead to adduction of the MP joints. And of course, they can do the same function as what a lumbrical does. Because of their extension into the extensor apparatus, they can lead to extension at PAP, DIP along with flexion at MP. वो बात तो है ही है. So they are coming from metacarpal, getting into the extensor apparatus at the proximal phalanx, and this is what they do. After four palmar introsia, I'm sure you all will agree that we have, four dorsal introsia as well, which are again coming from the adjacent metacarpal. Can you see? They're again coming from the adjacent four metacarpal here. Can you see? And they are also getting inserted onto the extensor mechanism. They are also getting inserted onto the extensor mechanism. So one is getting inserted from this side, this one is getting inserted from this side, and this is getting inserted from both the sides. What do they do? Very simple. They do dab. Dorsal introsia leads to what? Abduction of the fingers, abduction of the MP joint, and of course MP flexion with extension at PAP and TIP. Are we able to understand this? Yes or no? Now, the next thing we need to understand is that how does the extensor mechanism work? So please try to understand how does an entire extensor mechanism work. I have already told you, by the way, that extensor mechanism fibers, all the fibers in the extensor mechanism are primarily tendinous. ठीक है, तो जितने भी ये फाइबर है एक्सटेंसर मैकेनिज्म में, ये सब टेंडिनियस है, इनमें इनमें जान नहीं है. सो देयरफॉर listen to this word. It is a very important word of knowledge. It is a very important word of knowledge that you should know, that since majority of the fibers are tendinous, okay, therefore they are incapable, therefore they are incapable of producing active force. Therefore, they are incapable of producing active force, and that is why they cannot produce force, but they transmit force to their attachment. तो आपने ऐसे याद करना है. Hopefully, is it clear to all of you? So if I can show you the thing again, so you can see the extensor digitorum tendon crossing the MP joint, getting inserted over there, making a hood. Hood is getting insertion from the introsia, the lumbrical, the EIP, and then central slip goes on to the base of the middle phalanx, and the two lateral band going on to the terminal band and going on to the base of the distal phalanx. ठीक है, वो lateral band यहाँ insert होगा और आगे उन्होंने क्या बना दिया, terminal band बना दिया. So this is how it all works. ठीक है. Now metacarpal say towards the lateral side of the lateral band, what will come? Lumbrical. And introsia will be connected over there, as I have already shown you in the previous image. Does that make sense to you? Chali. Now, this is something which I have already mentioned, but I want you to understand what is called as the wing tendon. See, wing tendon is very simple. देखना सामने, ये EDC है, no confusion. ठीक है, इसमें कोई confusion नहीं है. ये dorsal hood है, ये dorsal hood है, इसमें भी कोई कंफ्यूजन नहीं है. ठीक है, वो एडीसी है, ये डॉर्सल हुड है, कोई कंफ्यूजन नहीं है. सेंट्रल स्लिप, टर्मिनल स्लिप बहुत बार बात होगी, अब नहीं करेंगे उसके बारे में बात. ठीक है, अब इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट क्या है? इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट ये है, सुनिएगा. फ्रॉम द लैटरल साइड, from the lateral side, you can see an introsia coming into the this whole thing, and you can see a lumbrical also coming into the whole thing. So ये सब जो है, ये lateral band के lateral margin पे जाके connect हो रहे हैं. ये lateral band के lateral margin पे जाके connect हो रहे हैं. सिमिलरली इधर साइड से जो है आपको इंट्रोशिया देखने को मिलेगा. So basically what I want you to understand that laterally you will have lumbrical introtia, medially, so laterally you will have lumbrical introtia, medially you will have just the introtia. Now these basically the introtia and the lumbrical and introtia, they are called as, I have written here also, highlighted also, they are called as wing tendons, you know, the wing of a bat. ठीक है, they are called as the wing tendon. So proximally it is the introtia, distally it is the lumbrical. Introtia यहीं खत्म हो जाता है, lumbrical आगे तक जाते हैं. Moving further, and I have already told you that how are they important, you know. Now you have to understand, which we have already told you, that these extensor expansions they form a movable hood, they form a extensor hood. Hood की बात हम कर चुके हैं, और हुड में हम ये भी डिस्कस कर चुके हैं that what comes and gets inserted into the hood, you know, EIP वहीं आ रहा है, इंट्रोशिया आ रहा है, lumbrical आ रहा है, everything. Now you have to understand that when you flex your MP joint, hood moves distally. The hood moves distally when you flex your MP joint, but when you extend your MP joint, then hood moves proximally. So you have to remember this fact कि जैसे आप MP joint को flex करोगे, you know, when you will flex the MP joint, it will move distally. When you will extend it, it will go back. So it will move proximally when you will extend it. Now, taking you to one applied aspect, I mean, see, one has to understand that what is the reason why these people in anatomy will ask you the extensor mechanism. There has to be some applied anatomy of the extensor apparatus. ये थोड़ी ना कि बस हाँ ठीक है, you should know the tendon, you should know the insertion, you should know what all is getting into it, and that's all. No, 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 no. You should know the applied aspect. The applied aspect is a very, very interesting topic. That is what is called as the Bowton-Naylor deformity, the buttonhole deformity. See, please try to understand Bowton-Naylor deformity is a deformity that is very commonly seen in something which is called as rheumatoid arthritis. I'm sure you all know that. I'm sure you all know that in rheumatoid arthritis, you see a deformity that is what is called as, come on, speak up everyone, swan neck deformity. Now, what happens in swan neck deformity? The DIP that goes into what? Flexion. So obviously the PIP will go into what? Hyperextension. So you will have PIP in hyperextension in swan neck, and you will have DIP in flexion. That is what is called as swan neck deformity. Now after swan neck deformity, you have another deformity that is what is called mallet finger, mallet toe, hammer toe, whatever. Normal PIP, you know, normal PIP and flexed DIP. So if you have the DIP in flexion, that is basically mallet finger, nothing is happening to the apna PIP. The third one that you have here is called as Bowto-Naylor's deformity. Now, when we talk about Bowto-Naylor, just remember one thing. First thing, it is just the opposite of swan neck. सोचने वाली बात. In swan neck, it is just opposite of swan neck. I used to remember it like this when I was a student. That swan neck has flexion of DIP. So it will first of all have extension of DIP. ठीक है, पहली चीज तो ये है कि it will have extension of DIP. So first of all, it will have extension of DIP. So DIP will be in hyperextension, and PIP will be into what? You know, PIP basically will be into flexion. PIP will be basically into flexion. अब मैं आपको बताता हूँ क्यों. Do you remember EDC? Yeah. Do you remember EDC giving a central slip? Yeah. Its job is to extend the PIP. Yeah. But here PIP is going into flexion. Yeah. You know why? You know why? Due to central slip rupture. Think about it. Due to central slip rupture. I told you na that EDC gets inserted onto the base of the proximal phalanx. Its job is to extend the PIP. Sorry, its job is to extend the MP joint. After that, it gives central slip, which goes and gets inserted onto the base of the proximal phalanx. Its job is to do what? Extension of the PIP. If it is ruptured, then PIP will go into flexion, yes or no? Yes, I can show you the PIP. See, I made a red dot here. See, I made a red dot here. PIP is into hyperflexion. Why? Because of the rupture of the central slip. Because central slip job was to do the extension of this. बात समझ में आया? So ये है. अब इसमें यहाँ पे you can be asked a question that okay fine, there is a rupture of the central slip, okay fine, because of that the PIP goes into flexion, okay fine, but why you have a hyperextension at DIP? But why you have a hyperextension at DIP? That is the question. Now listen to me, everyone. Central slip is the slip which is going to give rise to lateral band, yes or no? Yes. Now central slip is ruptured, yes. That leads to volar subluxation of the lateral bands. So ये जो lateral band यहाँ पे अब आपको दिखाई दे रहे हैं, I hope you all can see. So these lateral bands were technically not here. These lateral bands were dorsal, but now they have come volar. So lateral band, because of the central slip, they go volar. And when they go volar, listen to me, when they go volar, something called as bowstringing. When they go polar, they have a far more efficient pull on the DIPJ. They have a far, because I told you that lateral bands, they go and get inserted onto the base of the what? Lateral band go and get inserted onto the what? Base of the distal phalanx. Their job is to do what? Extension of the DIP. Now, since they are volarly dislocated, they go into a kind of a post stringing. So, therefore, they are now having a more effective pull, and that more effective pull is the reason behind hyperextension of the DIP. So Bautu Nair has to be understood that okay, fine, there is flexion at PIP. Why? Because of the rupture of the central slip, whose job was to extend it. Okay, fine, done. Rheumatoid में tendon वंडन फट जाता है. But then why hyperextension at PIP, DIP? Because of the overcorrection, overaction of the lateral bands, and why? Because they're going to volar subluxation. I hope Bautu Nair makes some sense to you. So this is again Bottomnager buttonhole shown here. So you have a ruptured central slip, middle slip, because of which you have hyperflexion at the PIP, then bowstringing of the lateral cords, and they are leading to hyperextension at the DIP. So this is same thing which I have already told you. The same thing is mentioned here. That lateral bands, they act as flexors on the volar side, and contracted, oblique retinacular ligament and lateral bands, they force DIP into hyperextension. So ये वही बात है that we have already discussed. Now, as far as treatment is concerned, acute buttonhole, when it happens, of course, it is diagnosed very early, and immediately, splintage is done, and you splint the PIP in full extension, as much as hyperextension as possible, and you free the DIP for 4 to 6 weeks. And of course, if it is a traumatic complete rupture, then there is no other option: surgical repair. So, friends, this was the purpose of teaching you this question, very interesting, important question called extensor apparatus. Just to give you a brief summary on extensor apparatus, you have to just remember it like this: that okay, fine, you have the metacarpal, you have the proximal phalanx, you have the middle phalanx, you have the distal phalanx. So you have the EDC, EIP, EDM coming together to make extensor apparatus, out of which EDC crosses the MP joint and it gets inserted onto the base of the proximal phalanx. And over there, it makes a hood, extensor hood, which wraps the MP joint, which receives the insertion of EIP, lumbrical, and interosseous. After that, it gives a central slip which goes and gets inserted onto the base of the, what do you call, middle phalanx. Now, job of EDC was to extend the MP joint. Job of central slip is to extend the PIP joint. When it gives central slip, it gives two lateral slips as well, which go and get inserted. These are the lateral bands, and they go and get inserted onto the base of the distal phalanx, and then they make a terminal band. And here it is connected by something which is called as a triangular ligament, but that's okay. Now, as such, this was extensor apparatus. Job is to extend MP. I have told you who does that. Extend PIP. I told you who does that. DIP. I told you who does that. Now, the point is very simple. EDC will extend MP joint. Central slip will extend the PIP joint. Lateral band will extend the DIP joint. But now the purpose is to make you understand that these tendons as such, they can't do anything. It is only because of the lumbrical and interosseous, four lumbrical, four palmar interosseous, four dorsal interosseous, that they actually do something. Lumbrical is very interesting because they come from FDP and they go to extensor apparatus. So they are kind of a conduit between the two, and that is why you have flexion at MP and extension at PIP. How is that important surgically? That when the central slip gets ruptured, then there is an immediate flexion at the PIP joint, and these lateral bands, they go volar and they become more efficient, and they do bowstringing, and which leads to more hyperextension here. And that combined thing is what is called as Bautu-Nair, which is an exclusive deformity seen in rheumatoid arthritis. The purpose was this, nutshell was this, summary was this, but I took good time to explain this. Why? Because, it is important. So all these notes will be available to you on this app as well. And please do watch, there are many other videos which are coming soon. And this was one video on the extensor mechanism and basic anatomy of the extensor mechanism. We will be, covering more videos. I would just want to all my subscribers of OrthoBuddy app. I just want to tell you that I will be, taking chapters and topics according to particular section. Like first we'll take anatomy, then we'll go to amputation, and then we'll go to so forth and so on and so forth. So if there's any query, feel free to ask me. And extensor apparatus is important. A good short note, a good viva question, you should know, because in let's say if you get a small case of some deformities of hand, something, anything, what can be any deformity, it can be swan neck, it can be botonier. And if they ask you about Excel, okay, what is this? This is botonier deformity. They're like, forget botonier deformity, start from the beginning. What is extensor apparatus? So it's a very basic anatomy that we all should know. So I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.